Hey, what's going on, everybody? Mark from Rams Up here. Another Rams Up update, April 8th, 2025. And I'm going to get into another mock draft. And the sole purpose of it is a trade back and then trade back up scenario. And I recorded this a couple days ago after Scott Richmond and I talked tight ends, but before Ian and I talked running backs. But I did happen to select one of those running backs that Ian really liked. So that's coming up at the end here. Before we get to that, it is episode 701, and I was hoping to do something special for episode 700. Didn't work out. 701, though, let's talk about a player who wore number 1 for the Rams, and we already talked about Mike Lansford. That must have been episode 601, I'm guessing. How about Deshaun Jackson with the Rams so briefly? This guy, over 11,000 yards from scrimmage in his great career, but just 221 for the Rams. And that came in 2021. Rams signed him. Man, we were jacked about this signing, the type of explosive player this offense needed. And actually, we could use a guy like that now. But he wasn't happy, didn't work out. Rams agreed to release him and moved on from Deshaun Jackson. And I know he ended up regretting it. He pretty much said so. Said as much after the Rams won that Super Bowl. Deshaun Jackson, man, number 1 very briefly for our Los Angeles Rams. Now, I wanted to run through some mock drafts that have occurred outside of Rams Up. And one of them, Mel Kiper, probably the mock drafter of all time. And he had the Rams taking Jackson Dart, thinking he would be great sitting behind Matthew Stafford for a year or two. And there are rumors the Rams have spent some time contemplating drafting Jackson Dart. And Nick Wright, one of my favorite sports commentators, he had the Rams drafting Matthew Golden. Yeah, Matthew Golden dropping to the Rams. And by the way, Nick Wright, one of the more accurate mock drafters around. He's a good listen, a good watch. Check him out. And then lastly, Vinny Iyer of Sporting News. He saw Colston Loveland dropping to the Rams, and the Rams make that selection. Now, Golden, Loveland, either one of them dropping to 26, I'm not so sure, but I'd be happy with either of those picks. I'm not sure who I would prefer. That would be a tough call. I think Loveland would probably serve a purpose immediately more so than Golden, but Golden, man, such a big-time receiver, steps up in games, steps up in the spotlight on the big show. When he's needed to make a big play, he came through over and over for the Texas Longhorns, so I'd be happy with that pick too. And remember, a lot of folks have Colston Loveland, I shouldn't say a lot, a handful of experts have Colston Loveland ranked higher than Tyler Warren. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is this Woodland Hills development that the Rams or Stan Kroenke are planning. I really didn't see this coming. I knew there was something in the works there, but it's going to be a pretty big deal and really cool. If you're not familiar with it, go check out Kevin Demoff's posts on Twitter. And it was interesting. I will not name the 49er podcaster who kind of got a little snippety on that message trail on Twitter on those posts. And Kevin Demoff came after him a little bit. So, yeah, good for Kevin. And I got a little diagram I pulled off the Rams site. Pretty extensive. Now, if you're familiar with the area, Warner Center over there, this is just off the 101 in Woodland Hills. You got Topanga Canyon down here at the bottom and Canoga Avenue up at the top. And they have an Anthem building there. I guess that's still going to be there. But right next to that, maybe that's going away, but right next to that, the Rams headquarters, they got an outdoor field, an indoor field. If you're listening on the podcast, jump on the YouTube channel and check out the diagrams I got shown here, or you can find them on the Rams website and elsewhere. A residential area in the early phase, apparently, a retail anchor, grocery stores, a central park, quite the deal. Retail village and hotels, of course, office buildings. So Stan Kroenke, a lot going on there. in Woodland Hills. It's going to be exciting to see. And indoor performance centers, that's the one thing I did not know was going to be there. So they're really spreading their wings there in Woodland Hills, the Rams are. Now, before we get to our mock draft, don't forget we have those 2 draft experts coming on. We hope to get that published Wednesday night, at the latest Thursday. We have some questions for them about what the Rams should do, about specific players that we've been contemplating for our Rams. It'll be nice to get some viewpoints from someone outside of the Rams world. These guys I think they're actually Steeler fans at heart in the Pennsylvania area. They'll be joining us Wednesday night. Going to be good stuff. Let's get to that mock draft I recorded a couple of days ago. Hey, welcome back, Ram fans. I have another mock draft I'm going to run here, and the sole purpose of this mock draft is to see how it would look if the Rams traded out of that number 26 spot, picked up a couple of draft picks later on, and then moved back up into the second round perhaps. And this is just to give you an idea what that might look like. Fair trade value in both cases. I think I actually have 3 trades I'm going to make here. And this isn't so much about the players I am going to draft. It's going to give you an idea who might be available if you made these trades. So I'll try to go slowly once the Rams are on the clock, and we'll fish around the different position groups so we can see if the players you like are there, and then I'll make my pick. And you can slam away on me on the website, on the YouTube channel. If you don't like my picks, have at it. More about who's available if the Rams move back and then move back up. So before we get this draft even started here, I'm going to enter the draft room here, and I am going to make some trades straight away here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trade with the Jaguars. We'll get to Jacksonville on the phone here. And I am going to offer the Rams 26 overall pick. And I am going to get back the Jags 36 overall pick. That would be the second round pick, number 36 overall. And according to this NFL mock draft database, to get this into to make this even Steven, so to speak, they're going to give us the number 107 pick overall. That's in the 4th round, and a 6th round pick as well. And there you have it. We have an even trade. So I will go ahead and make that trade. And so the Rams have picked up a couple of picks here, right? But they've dropped out of the 1st round. That's going to make for a kind of sad Thursday night for Rams fans. Especially if that trade doesn't happen until the Rams are on the clock. A little bit deflating, but if it makes our team better in the long run, so be it. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trade up a little bit higher in the 3rd round, and I'm going to get the Bears on the phone here. We'll call the Bears and Ben Johnson, their new head coach, see if he's willing to deal with Sean McVay. The Rams are going to give up that 90th overall pick in the 3rd round, and that 107th pick, the one we just got from the Jags. And we are going to offer that up for the Bears' 72nd overall pick. So we're moving up in the 3rd round, 18 spots, giving up a 4th rounder. And that's the cost. Now, the Rams are one team that is more likely going to overpay. We saw that last year. So I'm certainly not going to be upset with the Rams making this trade. In fact, they might actually have to give up more, to be honest with you. So we'll make that trade. And now, what are we left with here? We've got a bunch of picks here, though. We got, 9 picks. And I'm going to give up 2 6th round picks to get back into the 5th round. That's another thing we've talked about. Fill in that void that exists right now. The Rams have no picks in the 5th round. So we are going to get the Eagles on the phone. And I not really convinced the Eagles would be, the Rams and Eagles would be wheeling and dealing. But we're going to ask for the Eagles a 161st pick overall. That's a 5th round pick. And we are going to give up 2 6th round picks. Right now we have 4. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6th round picks after all these previous trades. And we are going to give up 2 of them, the 190th and the 202nd. And that would have been our last pick. And we're going to make that trade. And so what are we left with? We're left with the same number of picks we started with, 8 picks. We do not have a 1st round pick. We moved up in the 3rd round to number 72 overall, and we also picked up a 5th rounder. So no more trading, I don't think. We'll see how this goes. And now I've run this a couple of times just to see what it might look like. And I can't say I was extremely happy with the results, but as Scott Richmond was pointing out the other day, there are, after you get past the 15th pick, there's not a big difference, 15th-ish, not exactly the 15th, but, around that 15th pick, there's not much difference between the 16th and, let's say, the 50th pick. So dropping down and picking up picks is maybe not a bad idea. The problem is, are everybody else realizes that too. So are they going to be willing to wheel and deal with the Rams? So we're going to start this draft now, and we'll see how it plays out. And I know there's a lot of discussion on the YouTube channel and elsewhere about what the Rams' real needs are. And we're going to look at every position group when the Rams are on the clock, at least for these first few picks. So, you may not be happy with my pick, but you'll see who else was there. Now, this trade offer isn't too bad, picking up, dropping down 9 spots, picking up a 3rd rounder, but I think we've done more trading than is realistically going to happen already. So we're on the clock, number 36 overall. The very good safety out of South Carolina is on the board. He's the number 1 player, Nick Emanwari. Interior offensive lineman, Tyler Booker, and the edge rusher out of Boston College, Donovan Ezuraku. And number 33 overall, wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka. And the Florida State cornerback is there. He's the 6th highest rated player left, Azrae Thomas. And the cornerback out of Mississippi, a lot of folks have been mocking to the Rams. Trey Amos is also there. Good running back, Travion Henderson. So let's go through each position group so you can get an idea who if you're focused on a certain position or a player in a position group, you'll get an idea of who's there and who isn't. So Egbuka is there, which tells me Luther Burden is gone, right? And as is Matthew Golden and a couple of others, as we'd expect. Interior offensive lineman at this point doesn't make any sense to me, but there's the guys there for you, Tyler Booker, Marcus Mebao. The linebackers, it looks like we missed out on Campbell, a guy that I've mocked with the Rams a couple times, but Schwesinger, I have trouble with that name. The UCLA linebacker is there, as is Demetrius Knight and Chris Paul. I'm going to skip the special teams. Cornerback, Jalen Monroe. Man, after listening to Ian talk about the quarterbacks the other day, I'm in the Jalen Monroe camp. Do we pick him here? Yeah, I don't know. He's clearly the best quarterback available. Jackson Dart is off the board. Tight ends, interesting group there. Mason Taylor, Elijah Arroyo, Harold Fannin Jr., Terrence Ferguson. Those are all guys that Scott Richmond talked about an episode or 2 ago. Defensive line, Tyleek Williams, Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders, Omar Norman Lott. And if we go to cornerback, and there's some good options here. Thomas, Trey Amos, Benjamin Morrison, kind of leaning towards the quarterback or the cornerback at this point. Running back, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson. And while we're on the subject of running backs, I don't think Omarion Hampton is a good fit for the Rams offense. He's a guy that's going to, you give him the ball all day long. He's going to punish defenses, doesn't have a lot of wiggle or necessarily a breakaway speed, but a punishing running back. And I just don't think that's a good fit for this Rams offense. It'd be a luxury to have a guy like that. Just wanted to call that out as I did a little bit more research on him. And he's a guy that, scouts are concerned. He's not afraid of contact. He will seek out contact, and that could result in, more injuries, a shorter career, those types of concerns. So just something to think about. Let's look at the offensive tackles. Ursary out of Minnesota, Cameron Williams out of Texas, Wyatt Millum out of West Virginia. All of those guys, even Emory Jones out of LSU, would be solid picks here. The edge rushers, we mentioned Ezeruka, one of the highest rated players on the board. Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M, and then the safeties. And I still don't understand folks winning safeties for the Rams high in this draft. And hey, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. I just think the safety room is in decent shape. Again, it would be a luxury to add an impact player at safety in this draft at this point in this draft. So if we go back to the big list here, I'm going to go ahead and take the cornerback. Got a lot of guys in that room. Is Thomas a difference maker? Let's hope so. That'll be the pick. The 40th rated player on the board overall, I'm taking him at number 36. But as you can see, these suggestions, and I think the suggestions here are mapped towards what they see as needs, and they kind of match what I see: wide receiver, cornerback, another cornerback. And the reason I'm willing to pass on the wide receiver, Egbuka, is we've heard over and over again, really deep wide receiver room. We might need to come back to that position next. But let's go ahead and make the pick. And I'm not making an argument for this. Well, I am making an argument for this pick, but I gave you all a look for who you might have wanted to pick here instead. Fair enough. But I am going to take the cornerback, Thomas, joining his old teammates Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. Gave me an A+ for that, and that's because, 40th ranked player, taking them at 36, and they see it as a need, as do I. And could that put Darius Williams on the chopping block? Potentially. I think the Rams' cap situation is in decent shape, and Darius Williams is a reliable, if unspectacular player, so I hope they keep him around. So now we're on the number 72 overall pick, Rams' second pick, and let's look at the top rated players. Another three cornerback. I'm sorry, I got cornerbacks tagged here. That's why all the best players are cornerbacks. Schlesinger is still there, the linebacker. And I have to say, the argument against taking a cornerback here, I really do think the Rams are going to go heavy on offense. Sean McVay typically does, last year being the exception, top two picks being defenders. And here we have a linebacker that I really love out of UCLA. Adding Thomas and this UCLA linebacker would really elevate this defense. Where would the holes remain? I don't know if Schlesinger is necessarily a sideline-to-sideline pursuit cornerback. He's more of a do-it-all type of guy. He'd be a solid addition. I'm just not thrilled about going defense with the top two picks. Wide receivers, Trey Harris, the Canadian Stanford wide receiver, A.M. Minor is there, as is Jalen Knoll and Jalen Royals. Some really solid options there. Interior offensive line, Marcus Mabau is still there, highest rated guy on the interior. Linebacker, Schlesinger, Demetrius Knight, Chris Paul. I think we come back to linebacker the more I think about this. I'm going to skip punter. Quarterback, Jalen Monroe is off the board. Dylan Gabriel, the fourth rated quarterback, let's keep an eye on him. He's a guy that was really growing on Ian too, and I respect Ian's opinion. Very accurate passer. got a decent arm, a little bit short, 5'11" is the only knock on him. Got some wheels, can create off schedule, got that cheat code going for him, as they say. Tight ends, Arroyo and Fannin and Terrence Ferguson are all there. Wide receiver, tight end, both two really deep groups. Defensive line, Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders, Omar Norman Lott. And then we have the cornerbacks. Well, we're going to pass on the cornerbacks and the running backs, Caleb Johnson, Cameron Scadaboo, DJ Giddens, and a bunch of other guys there. RJ Harvey, we could maybe grab him later. Offensive tackle, Cameron Williams out of Texas, Emory Jones out of LSU, and edge rushers, Jordan Birch, and this is a fun name, Oluwafemi Oladejo. I think I did pretty good on that one. Let's go back to the wide receivers, and I'm not sold on. I'm kind of got my eye on Jalen Royals here, but they like Trey Harris. Trey Harris is certainly more value at number 57 overall, and tight ends. I think we can come back for one of these tight ends. The wide receivers, it's a deep group, but if you can get Harris here at number 72 for overall, at another weapon, I'm going to go that route. And you saw who else was on the board. You don't have to agree with that pick. There's a couple people that don't like my mocks at all, and I'm not going to do anything to please them, so I'm not worried about it. But we got a 101, and let's reject these trades. What do we have here? 101 and 127, and the highest rated player is the edge rusher out of UCLA, Oladejo. Got it right the first time, screwed it up the second time. And Dylan Gabriel still there at 139. Let's go through all the groups here. Wide receiver, I'm not going to draft in two of any one position, so I'm going to skip wide receiver and cornerback moving forward. Interior offensive lineman, Jared Wilson and Dylan Fairchild. Jackson Slater, every time I see that name, you know who I'm thinking about, right? Linebacker Chris Paul is there. I'm going to skip punter. Barrett Carter out of Clemson still there too. We're risking missing out on Dylan Gabriel if that's a route we want to go. The two tight ends are there, Terrence Ferguson and Mitchell Evans. And I'm leaning towards Ferguson. Let's see how this goes. And, recency bias, we just covered tight ends with Scott. So I'm kind of leaning towards that. Defensive lineman, Ty Robinson and Jordan Phillips. And I'm also in the camp that defensive line our group's pretty good. It really is. Maybe add a little bit of depth somewhere, sign a veteran, draft a defensive lineman here somewhere maybe, I guess. We're going to skip cornerbacks. Denzel Burke still there. Running backs, DJ Giddens, Damian Martinez, RJ Harvey. Let's keep our eye on RJ Harvey. Offensive tackle, Ozzie Trapillo, Anthony Belton, Chase Lunt, and edge rushers, Alajedo is still there. So I'm going to come back to these tight ends, and I'm going to draft Terrence Ferguson. And if you want to know more about him, go check out our video that published Sunday with Scott Richmond. We talk about a lot of the tight ends here. And they are not, who are they suggesting here? They're suggesting an edge rusher, an interior offensive line, another edge rusher. Hey, I get it. You can never have enough edge rushers, but our top two guys are pretty squared away, and we need to solve that when their contracts are up, I guess, Byron Young especially. But right now, I'm going to draft the tight end, and our next pick, number 127 overall. Let's look at the quarterback and the running back. We'll look at all the groups. But I want everybody to have an idea who's there, who you might have picked. Mention it in the comments. Okay, here we go. Overall, Tyler Shug, the quarterback out of Louisville, is Dylan Gabriel still there. Shug is a guy that, man, just lit it up at Louisville, but I'm starting to lean towards Dylan Gabriel more. We're going to skip wide receiver, interior offensive line. I think we can wait later, but we got Dylan Fairchild, Jackson Slater, Caleb Rogers. Linebacker Chris Paul is still there, as is Bassa out of Oregon. A lot of folks on the YouTube channel like him. Interior offensive line. Okay, let's go to quarterback. Shug Dillon, Riley Leonard, Curtis Rourke. Tight ends. We're going to skip tight ends. We already have one. Defensive line, Ty Robinson out of Nebraska. They like him, the 104th ranked player. We'll skip cornerback. So let's keep Ty Robinson on our mind here. RJ Harvey. Offensive tackles, Anthony Belton, Holland Pierce. And the edge rushers, Barron Sorrell, David Walker, Quay Robinson. And Quay Robinson is a guy to keep an eye on as well. So what do we want to do here? Let's narrow it down. Let's narrow it down to Chris Paul, the linebacker, Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback, Ty Robinson, the defensive lineman, and RJ Harvey, who is the highest rated player. If we look at it from this way, I'm going to pass on Shug, but Chris Paul, the linebacker, I could make an argument for any one of these guys, the defensive lineman, the running back, the quarterback. I want to get a quarterback in this camp as a number, someone to put some heat on Stetson Bennett, someone to beat out Stetson Bennett, to be quite honest, and I'll go ahead and take Dylan Gabriel. And a lot of you probably aren't going to like that pick, but hey, fair enough. Tell me who I should have picked otherwise. Didn't get a good grade on that one. So let's hope that this defensive lineman, the one we are looking at, is gone. Our next pick is 161 overall. And getting towards the end of the draft here, we reject these trades. So what do we have here so far? We have a quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, and cornerback. A lot of skill guys, right? Maybe we need to start looking at some big boys. Interior offensive line, Jackson Slater. Linebacker, Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame is there. Smail Mondon out of Georgia. Jay Higgins out of Iowa. Kobe King. We're going to pass on those. A defensive lineman, Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech, getting really good value there. We need to pick someone in the trenches here. We can't go this deep in the draft without picking a guy that's going to help out our defensive line rotation. So I'll go ahead and select Aeneas Peebles. Aeneas Peebles, the defensive lineman. Won't spend as much time exploring everybody available with these last three picks. 182 overall, 195, and 201. But I think we need to look at offensive line. We need to look at linebacker and running back. Let's see what running backs are still available. Brashard Smith is there. That's a solid pick. Jaden Blue out of Texas. So for you on the you get folks on the podcast, I'll run this down for you real quickly. Highest rated players are linebacker Mondon out of Georgia, interior offensive lineman Vincent out of Alabama A&M. I picked him in my last mock. Running back Jaden Blue. And on the interior offensive line, Vincent, the highest rated player. Linebacker Mondon and Kaiser. Is Quay Robinson still there? Quay Robinson is still there. 167th overall. And I am going to go with the running back, Jaden Blue, and another skill position guy. And I'm going to hope Quay Robinson is there when we pick again. Let's turn on Edge and see if he is still there, and he is. Speed this up. Let's go ahead and pick Robinson. And I don't have an interior offensive lineman or a tackle yet. And I will pick one of those right now. Interior offensive lineman Luke Condra out of Cincinnati. Joshua Gray out of Oregon State. The offensive tackles Logan Brown. I'm just going to go ahead and take the highest rated player there, Logan Brown out of Kansas. Again, this is just to give you an idea who's there. I haven't selected a safety. Let's look at the safeties. Malachi Moore, Hunter Waller, R.J. Mickens. And that's one position maybe I shouldn't have ignored completely, but I guess I did. But we'll go ahead and select Logan Brown. So this is just to give you an idea of what a draft might look like. Not necessarily the players, but you saw who was available when we made those picks. And, very, very well could be the case if the Rams are on the clock at 26. I'm sure they've already had conversations with teams that the teams like the Giants or the Browns that are maybe going to pass on a quarterback in the first round, but want to jump back up into the second round to take a guy like, if Sanders is still there, possible, Jackson Dart, a couple other guys, Jalen Milroe, probably a little early for him. But there you have it. There is the results of our draft here. Cornerback is Ezra Thomas out of Florida State. Wide receiver Trey Harris out of Mississippi. Tight end Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. Defensive lineman Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech. Running back Jaden Blue out of Texas. Edge rusher Quay Robinson out of Alabama. And offensive tackle Logan Brown out of Kansas. What did we miss on? What did we skip? We skipped interior offensive line and safety and linebacker. So do I want to do-over already? Yeah, probably. And I'll have 3 or 4 do-overs. Maybe I'll try this same approach. And hey, in the comments here, after you subscribe and like the video, I really appreciate it if you do that. Tell me who you would take instead of Thomas, because everything's kind of a domino effect, right? What position, what player would you want me to take at number 36 and maybe even 72 if we do this again? And we'll see how it turns out. Lots of fun doing this. But if you have any suggestions, let me know, and we'll try again another day. Out here from Rams Up.